Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the possible confirmation of a Radiant ASIC. We're going to talk about our kind of skepticism with it still. Going to talk about just the whole situation for you guys who've been missing it. This is something that we've been discussing on Twitter for a few months now, right? So it's been a big old thing. So never really made a video on it just because the whole thing was so freaking annoying, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we did find out, what they are letting us know, and kind of give our thoughts and opinions and why we're still kind of skeptical, right? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So if you are unfamiliar, all of this crap started right after the halving, actually. So the halving was like April 19th. We all kind of found it together on April 23rd. Whole thing started with Panda finding a massive increase in the hash rate on Alephium. And then shout out to Zombiator for Hire. He actually pointed out the increase with Kyla Coin to me, which initially was like, it kind of goes up and down because they were having a horrible like hash rate centralization thing also. So it was fluctuating quite a bit. So I didn't really think too much of it until I looked at it and saw the extent of it, which was extreme, right? So because of how extreme it was, I was like, man, let me look at some of these other coins, especially the other FPGA coins, because at the time, Alephium was still FPGA. And that's when we saw that also, right? And especially with Radiant, after we saw it with Radiant, that was the like confirmation for me, right? So at that point, it's definitely an entity of some sort. It's whatever, whether it was FPGAs, ASICs, who cares? I know a lot of people were dead set on arguing that fact, but reality doesn't matter. All we do know is that it seemed like it was one entity because again, it was all at the same time, right? All three of them, it was Alephium, Radiant, and Kyla, all got hit extremely hard and they kind of stayed on there, right? So the difference is that Kyla Coin did do something about it. They did go to CPU. So that was a good change for them. And then Gold Shell did have their ASIC already, the AL box, and that kind of wrecked their earnings on that thing. I think that's the reason that it was priced so high. And that kind of did mess with them. So that's why there's rumors of it. To me, it's not going to be Gold Shell, though, because they kind of screwed themselves because, again, the profitability number went down so bad because of that massive increase from whatever entity it was. So for me, I don't think it's Gold Shell, right? So that's the one we could eliminate from there. But our biggest gripe with this is especially with Radiant specifically, because their big thing is what? Decentralization, having not necessarily no founders, but like nobody in control, community driven, and completely decentralized. So obviously this kind of killed the whole decentralization thing. So maybe we're hoping that maybe they would consider going GPU again, so they really can stay decentralized, right? Because again, with them, especially with them specifically, one of their biggest things is decentralization. So it's just kind of funny that after we posted this crap up, one of their Twitter accounts had posted something, we're still focused on decentralization, this is nothing, we're still going to continue going forward, this is not a non-issue, essentially, kind of brushing it off, which that to me was like donezo at that point, right? Because then at this point it's like, you're seriously going to still say you're decentralized after this? Having won it, because it's not just like a hash rate increase. The extent of this is that they were taking essentially all the block rewards. They are the entire network, even still currently. Okay, so pretty nuts, pretty crazy, and it's been over 2 months now, and they are still doing the same damn thing. Okay, so and the reason I'm so skeptical and the reason I've been so like negative about it, about the whole situation, it's just silly arguments, right? So the biggest thing, again, it's different crowd on Twitter than what there is on the YouTube thing. Never made a video about it, but like, for example, the biggest argument with why they were friendly from the beginning and they were going to be essentially a non-issue, like, it's just a little hurdle we got to go through, was that after they split up the hash rate, right? Because initially it was all on Viper. And then they split it up and they went 50-50 on another pool and on Viper. So now their community was like, oh yeah, they're definitely friendly. They split up the hash rate. There's no more threat of them taking over. It doesn't matter how you split it up, right? You could do 10 different pools at 10 different percent. It's still one entity that was running the whole network, right? And then another argument was like, if they were, going to do a double spend attack, 51% attack, or try to wreck the network, they would have done it already, right? They're totally friendly. Nah, bro, they're here to make money. They are here to bleed you people dry, right? And that's what they did, and that's what they continue to do. right? Like if I'm that entity and you and your whole community is giving me the green light to continue to bleed you guys dry and you guys have no issue with it, that's the best case scenario for me, right? So kind of weird that they weren't seeing it that way, which is whatever. I mean, everybody has their own thing, but they were dead set on definitely not changing anything, not changing the algo, and they still are, right? Which is fine. I mean, it's their project, and this is kind of the weird thing, right? They're saying it's a community-driven project, but yet it's a few people controlling the sentiment, saying like, no, we are not changing algorithm, we are not doing this, we're not doing that, we're staying this way. So are you really community-driven then if you're not even going to take input from that? Which is hard too, though, right? I'm making that argument there, but it's hard to really even run a DAO, to have a foundation. But this is kind of the downfall of not having any of those things and truly being nobody running the show, essentially, right? So a lot of back and forth. Everybody has their own opinion on it. I definitely have mine. I definitely made mine nice and clear, which again, I'm not trying to FUD anything. I'm not trying to like spread negative sentiment. This is just my viewpoint on it and just the way I see it. Right, so it's all up to you and whether you see value here. I think there still is going to be value 100%, right? It's very, very likely that when the ASICs do come online, the price is going to pump eventually if things continue. It's just a shame that for a project who is so community and decentralization driven is going this route when instead they could have just stayed with the obvious GPU. They could have changed the algorithm. They could have done something to stay with the true way to stay decentralized. And that's what GPUs or even CPUs, or now as we've seen with these latest projects, the combination of the two. That way you can really decentralize that hash rate. Because regardless of how you want to spin it, to me, there's no argument that GPUs are massively more decentralized than ASICs. ASICs are extremely centralized. No matter how you want to spin it, to me, there's no winning that argument, right? Even with everything going on, right? It's just... So from that perspective, that's what makes it disappointing, right? But at the end of the day, it's their project. They don't want to do that. They definitely want to go ASICs, and that was the plan from the beginning, and I could respect that also, right? But just understand when you really want to harp on decentralization, ASICs aren't decentralized. Right? It's extreme centralization. It is what it is, right? So you could take with it how you will. Let's go on to the next topic now. It's enough talking about that. Let's talk about the news now. So this was a post from their community, which was also in their Discord. So it's not just a fake BS one. This is something that they are spreading. So dear Radiant community, we're excited to share some significant updates regarding the Radiant Network, a major ASIC manufacturer, which they did not name, commonly referred to as the entity, has made a substantial investment in our network. Here are the key points we would like to communicate. Okay, number one, commitment to network security. The entity has assured us, which I don't know how you can take the word of anybody who's bleeding your network dry, but they have assured us that they are committed to securing the Radiant network and will strictly abide by all network rules. Their business is focused on generating profit, obviously, and growing partnerships, not harming a project they aim to be our partners in success. So of course they are here to get profit. Of course they're going to secure the network because that's how they are earning that profit. And of course they're not going to destroy the network because again, you are giving them the green light to continue doing what they are doing. Okay, again, if I am the entity and you're buying what I'm selling, loving it, right? Point number two, community collaboration. In response to our request, the entity has agreed not to run their own private nodes and to distribute their hashing power across multiple pools. This measure ensures redundancy and a more decentralized network given the circumstances. Decentralized, my ass, right? At the end of the day, it is one freaking network. Or one freaking entity, one freaking person. However you want to say it, it's still one person taking all of your emissions, all of your block rewards. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. He is controlling the network. Okay. The one thing it does do, though, it does ensure redundancy, right? Because if that one pool were to go down, then yes, yeah, that would be horrible, right? Realistically, you would want to have it on like 2-3 pools, maybe spread it out a little bit more just for that factor, right? So that point, they have a point. But as far as it being decentralized, bro, you have one person securing your network for the past 2.5 months. Okay, so again, let's go to the next one. Support for the community fund. Demonstrating their dedication to our project, the entity is contributing 10% of their block rewards from Viper to the community fund. This generous contribution amounts to a little over 5% because, again, they have it split between Viper and the other pool. A little over 5% of daily emissions, translating to approximately 360,000 to 450,000 RXD per day. And this also not a fan of. Okay, I get it that they can benefit from it, but optic wise, right? Outsiders standing in, like I'm explaining, trying to sell Radiant to somebody who's unfamiliar with it, shit looks horrible, right? You are allowing a entity to bleed your network dry of all emissions, all block rewards, while you're taking a 10% kickback, is especially considering the circumstance of RXD. Other projects, I get it, right? They have dev fees, things of that sort, but when you're a promoter, your big thing is that we have no dev fees, we are 100% community funded. Looks horrible, bros. Like, I hope they realize how bad that looks, especially considering they're like highlighting that and that they're taking that with no issue, right? It's just, yes, it's going to definitely benefit the community, but again, you're allowing somebody to bleed your network dry and you are taking a portion of that for yourself, I guess, right? Okay, next one. Future ASIC availability. The entity plans to release their miners publicly once the economics of it have reached their intended goal. So essentially, once they bleed you fuckers out, then they'll make it available to your community at extreme prices. Okay, again, they also just, I don't get how they're like thinking that this sounds good. Okay, it sounds horrible. Like they should have waited maybe if they were in contact with them until they're like, okay guys, we know this has been rough, this is whatever, but it turns out they were testing these units, they are going to release these, this is the release date, da-da-da. Instead of like, yeah, you know, when they're done with making their money, however much they wanted to make, then they're going to give them to us, you know, after they use them. They'll clean them up a little bit and they're going to just use those existing units. Like, it just, I don't understand how they think that this looks good, right? It's just... Let me know what you guys think, right? Am I crazy? Am I just seeing this the wrong way? Like, again, I'm doing everything from the viewpoint as if I'm the entity. If I'm the entity and you guys are buying this shit and you guys are like pumping the price because you think like, oh yeah, they're definitely good guys, it's definitely Bitmain. Oh man, I don't know, bros. Like, that's what has me even like more bearish on the project. I mean, hopefully this all is true and they are saints and they are 100% going to do this, then cool, right? I really hope it does pay off for everybody. Because at the end of the day, we want to see proof of work projects excel, right? Especially for me, being a person who's more profit driven than anything, more than like fundamentals and such. With most projects, this one being included, it's crazy, right? And like, even if it is true, it's like, it's a money grab, but again, it's potential. It's potential for me. I'm interested because, again, as a miner, as a person who's looking for potential profits, this is intriguing from like the point of like supporting a network and being all about and seeing their vision. It just looks horrible, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But again, if I'm that entity and you guys are buying this bullshit, then I could do this now even longer because you guys are like in it. I'm loving it, right? You guys are fully playing into my plan. Again, that's just how I see it. Like, everything, all the arguments are all just from the perspective as I'm the entity and you guys are like buying it, right? And it's kind of working, unfortunately, right? Hopefully I'm being more pessimistic than I probably should, and hopefully they are a good actor. It's just weird, right? Because this is not normal behavior from what we've seen from these ASIC manufacturers, right? Like I just stated in the beginning, well, I don't think it's Gold Shell because they just wrecked the Alephium profitability of that little AL box right after release. Okay, so I don't think it's Gold Shell. This is not something that Bitmain typically does either. I know they've been accused of it in the past, but like following, you know, the K7 release, the KA3 release, the Casper release, all these others, where we watched hash rate like a hawk on a daily basis, waiting for that pump so we can kind of get an idea of release dates that never happened in the hash rate, right? So maybe they did it on a small scale, again, just to test ASICs, which is normal. but nothing to this extent, right? So I don't think it's them either. Okay, so we don't think it's Gold Shell. Is it Ice River? This isn't what they did with Caspa either, right? They essentially made these things. They did test them a little bit, but we didn't see any crazy increases where we can 100% say like, oh yeah, they definitely took over the network, and it was nothing like that extent either. They made them and shipped them out as they made them. Okay, so is it Ivy Link? Maybe. Is it another manufacturer? Maybe. Is it all bullshit? Also maybe, right? It's really hard to say. It's a very complicated situation. I know it sounds extremely negative, and it's just, in a sense, it kind of is, right? If you're preaching decentralization, ASICs aren't the way. They've never been the way. It's GPUs, CPUs, or the combination thereof. Okay, so that's where a lot of us kind of have issue with it. Because typically, most other projects, I could care less. And for me, I'm bullish on ASICs releasing because that's money. Okay, that's a cash grab. Okay, again, we are profit-driven miners, and this, to me, is still bullish. When the eventual ASICs do come out, it is going to be bullish, but not for, again, a coin where this is their main thing, right? Because when the ASICs do eventually come out, guess what? These guys, everybody's probably going to be priced out. It's going to be bigger players coming in and spending the ginormous amounts depending on who releases first and depending on the size of them, obviously, right? It's a lot of factors playing in. It's just kind of a shitty situation overall, right? Especially the fact that I think what kind of annoys a lot of people and what's kind of like turned me off was the fact that there was no willingness to do something about it. Their answer was just more along the lines of, this is our vision, it is what it is. Even if we have to die with the network, we're going to die with the network, right? And that was just kind of the, like, really? You guys are really willing to let everything go just because that's the original vision for it to be on ASICs? You wouldn't even consider temporarily switching algos just to kick them off and then eventually reverting back, like, once things are ready? Like, it just seems kind of weird that there wouldn't even be a remote consideration, right? So, like, for me, for example, that willingness to be so stubborn when things are potentially pretty bad, because it's been pretty bad, right? We've seen the sentiment, we've seen everything, and for them to not be willing to pivot or change or even remotely consider that was a huge turnoff for me personally, right? But I mean, it's also hard because even let's say, okay, you know, after this, let's do governance, let's do a DAO. We've seen time and time again that this doesn't really work either, right? It's tricky. It's a very hard situation. It's a very difficult situation. And it's difficult for any of these guys when they do the transition from GPU to ASIC, right? If there's not an algo change or something. Like, to me, that's the transition that makes the most sense, is maybe do whatever algo, stay on one that's GPU centric, and then when you want to switch to the ASICs, you have that partnership already ready to go onto a new algo and just do it all at once instead of kind of letting it be like a free-for-all and having somebody control your network and all your block rewards for over 2 months and still continuing with no end in sight. Right? So kind of a weird topic, guys. I know it sounds super negative. It's just my observations as a miner, right? But let me know how you guys see things. I know a lot of you guys are super bullish, but please, in the comments, guys, don't just put, you're spreading fodder. Like, let me know why you think that is. Like, let me know why you're okay with it. Like, kind of explain it. And that's the kind of conversation kind of hope to get here, right? It isn't like, which is all of what Twitter is, right? Which was the whole annoyance with the whole thing. So let me know what you guys think, because I think the crowd here, or at least my crowd here on YouTube, is definitely more mining centric versus project centric, right? So let me know how you guys see it as miners. Do you guys really think ASICs are decentralized? Like, considering Radiant's stance on things, are you guys cool with this? Do you guys think that this is really decentralized? Do you think they can really stay or say that they are fully decentralized and that that's a priority for them, right? Like, how do you guys feel about this community fund? Let me know what you guys think, guys. I really want to hear your feedback on this one. Thank you for watching, guys. Again, please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Really appreciate you guys watching, and we are out.